One American icon spent his life wandering barefoot across the frontier, carrying a sack of seeds. He slept under the stars, traded kindly with strangers, and planted apple nurseries that would feed families long after he was gone. He was simple, even strange, but his patient work left orchards that blessed generations. His name was John Chapman. He was more famously known as Johnny Appleseed. Another American icon spent his days in New York City, scheming at work, living with his parents, cutting corners, and trying desperately to avoid responsibility. He lied, cheated, and scammed. And every time he thought he found a shortcut to the good life, it blew up in his face. His name was George Costanza. Two men, two radically different approaches to life. One built a legacy of blessing for others. The other built a reputation for selfishness and failure. One planted seeds of generosity and patience. The other consumed whatever was in front of him and ended up empty. The question for us is simple. Which story are we living? Because the truth is, money is not neutral. Our financial choices reveal our character. They either build orchards for the future, or they leave us scrambling in the present. Today, we're going to explore the financial lessons of George Costanza and Johnny Appleseed. Their lives may seem worlds apart, one fictional, one historical, but both show us the consequences of our daily choices. And by the end, you'll see why we believe that prosperity comes not from the shortcuts, but from faithfulness over time. Welcome to Plan to Prosper, where we exist to honor God by equipping faithful servants to steward their finances wisely and build wealth that endures for generations. Okay, Logan, today we have a little bit of a different episode. Last week we compared and contrasted the estate plans of two biblical kings, and so we're going to keep with that theme and compare some financial-ish plans of two American icons.
Yeah, this one, I think, a little bit more fun. We'll have a little bit more fun with this one. And to start out with the fun, I was listening to a podcast earlier, and I'm going to steal a question that they used because I was dying to know your answer. I'm just going to ask the question. I'll explain once you answer.
Okay.
Are you a wife guy?
Am I a wife guy? That sounds like something they would say in Seinfeld. Sounds like something that they would probably criticize a guy for being a wife guy because they're all single and living their best lives. Am I a wife guy? I will say definitively yes, because I love being married. I have a great wife. I'm very much in her corner, and I like hanging out with her. So if that makes me a wife guy, then yes, 100% I'm a wife guy.
All right. What they were going for was, I guess this is somewhat known, being a wife guy means if you're going to hang out with the boys, you try to bring your wife along with you. I'm kind of a mixed, I don't know. I think there are times when it's okay, and there are times where I'm like, no, this is my guy time. Yeah,
I could see it in two ways. One, for sure, there is a time and a space for you to just hang out with your boys. You need that guy time, and that's an important thing. I think we maybe, I don't know how, we could debate how much of that you need or whatever, but yeah, definitely need just the guy time. But I also like including my wife, and if they're married, seeing how we can hang out with the couples together and do that kind of thing and encourage both at the same time.
All right. Thought it was interesting. I'd never heard of it.
Anyway, I like it. Yeah, it's a good question. Okay, so today we're looking at George Costanza and Johnny Appleseed. Really random people that we would be looking at, not something that you would consider. I don't know why this came up in my mind, but I was thinking about Seinfeld, and I was thinking about George Costanza and the way that he lives his life, and then trying to find somebody that basically did the exact opposite of him. And Johnny Appleseed sort of fits that profile pretty well.
Yeah. He definitely does, and just being kind of a more patient person, and you don't think as selfish of a person. So yeah.
Yeah. So, spoiler alert, we're basically going to walk through what George Costanza did throughout the show, and it's not something to emulate in life, pretty much across the board.
Yeah, all aspects of what he financed, actions, how he treated others. Yeah, all of that.
And then we'll also look briefly at Johnny Appleseed, and we're not necessarily saying that you should go live your life like him either, but what he did was pretty cool and unique and different, and it demonstrated a much different mindset than George did by having a much longer-term outlook, and that's more what we're going for, because all of that we talk about on this podcast is not short-term shortcuts, but long-term solutions to building wealth and living your life to the glory of God.
Yeah, the patient building.
Yeah. So yeah, we're looking kind of contrasting the short-term self-serving compared to patience and long-term thinking. George has this great line where he says, if you take everything I've accomplished in my entire life and condense it down into one day, it looks decent. So he was not known for being an extraordinarily productive person.
One of the things you had mentioned is legacy. The show doesn't end at 10 years. The show goes through George's whole life. What's his legacy?
Are you asking what I think his legacy would be?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't anticipate he would change anytime soon. So he would continue down the path of shortcuts, doing the bare minimum work, not diligently saving or planning for the future. He'd probably still be single. He probably wouldn't have much money. He'd probably be living alone in an apartment in New York, doing the same stuff that he was doing in the 90s.
Would anything have changed if Susan didn't die?
No, he was looking for an out on that relationship the whole
True.
time anyways. So whether he seemed reluctant to break up with her and was desperate for her to break up with him. I would think she would probably come to her senses at some point and end that relationship.
Yeah, good point.
The theme verse for today that kind of will lead this whole conversation, at least in the back of our minds, is Proverbs 21:5, which we've read before on the podcast. But it says, "The plans of the diligent lead surely to abundance, but everyone who is hasty comes only to poverty." I think that describes these two people pretty well. That Johnny Appleseed was just diligently planting, and George Costanza is pretty hasty and always flying by the seat of his pants. So we're going to start with him. We're going to look at George Costanza's financial plan and take a look at what his life was like. So we'll first start with his jobs and what his financial picture would have looked like. And early in the series, you see a lot of moving around. This was pretty much the case throughout the whole show, that he was kind of always job hopping.
So real jobs and fake jobs.
Right, exactly. And we will get to that. So early on, he's a real estate agent. I had actually forgot about that, that he worked in real estate in any respect. But
that was pretty short-lived, right?
Short-lived. And yeah, famously, he quits in a huff, but then tries to get, I forget exactly the timing, but he tries to get rehired. His boss doesn't want that to happen, so he ends up drugging his boss as a way to get back at him. He slips him a Mickey while Elaine's flirting with him. So he's a schemer. This is kind of his MO that he is known for repeatedly. So he's a real estate agent. He works for Kramerica Industries, which is a industrial smoothing. I don't even really know what he did there, but that was some vague role in a subplot of one of the episodes.
I'm trying to remember. Did Kramer come up with that?
I can't remember.
Okay. Yeah. I don't remember that episode
sounds like
real
it.
well either.
Yeah. He worked.
Oh, didn't he make like a fake bladder? I think it was all Kramer.
Oh yeah.
Like an oil bladder thing. Yeah.
I think part of our lesson here is that we should go back and rewatch a lot of this, because
how do you stream it now? Do you know? I don't even know where it is.
There was one year when I was just out of high school. I was working as a waiter, and I only worked at nights. So I would wake up and I didn't really have anything to do during the summertime. So I went to Best Buy and I bought the first season of Seinfeld, and I binge watched that during the day. And that took me like a couple of days because I wasn't really doing much of anything. I was kind of like George. And then I went back and bought the next season. And so over the course of the summer, I ended up buying the entire series on DVD. So I had all of them, and I just binge watched. And this was back when streaming wasn't really a thing. So I just watched them all on DVD over the course of one summer while I was working as a waiter, and had plenty of free time during the days.
I did the same thing. It was over the summer. I think, a junior or senior in high school, and it was back when Netflix mailed you the DVDs.
Oh yeah.
So I did it one season at a time via Netflix.
Unreal. It's a very different world we live in now. It was on Netflix at some point, but
yeah, I don't know where it is now.
Wouldn't encourage anybody to get Netflix.
True.
He worked at a playground equipment company with no meaningful success there. He worked briefly with Elaine at her publishing company, but this one famously, he was fired for...
It's the cleaning lady?
Yeah.
Yep.
Having intimate relations with the cleaning lady. And when they confront him on it, he goes, "Was that wrong? Should I not have done that?"
Isn't she one of the ones that he also tries to give that cashmere sweater to? With the dot on it?
Yeah. I don't remember.
I think if my memory's correct, I think.
Oh man,
he does.
What a goof. One of my favorite episodes is the hand model episode where somebody notices that he has exquisite hands. And so he gets hired as a hand model. His hands are beautiful. That doesn't last long because while it was the puffy shirt episode. So he's making fun of the puffy shirt that Jerry was about to wear on the late night show. And the girl that designed the puffy shirt shoves him and he burns his hands on a scalding hot iron, like a clothes iron. And his hand model career is over.
Very short-lived.
But again, it's his own. Obviously, it was not his fault that he got. It was his fault that he got shoved.
Yeah.
Like he self-sabotaged himself by just not being extremely rude about the puffy shirt thing, even if it was a goofy shirt. There's another good episode when he's selling computers with his dad.
Yeah.
But he basically ends up in this like bickering rival with his childhood friend Lloyd Braun.
Fun fact about that. Every single fantasy football team I have, I name Serenity Now.
Okay. That's that episode?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, do you remember what happens at the end of the episode? What's revealed about Lloyd Braun?
No.
That Frank says his computers aren't even plugged in. He's like apparently like a schizophrenic or something. So like throughout the whole episode, you're thinking that Lloyd is just this put together, super successful guy. He's selling all these things. And then by the end of it, it's revealed his computers were never even
because he's the only one that says Serenity Now, like, with composure.
Yeah. It's so funny. Okay, the unemployment stretch. This is another big subplot where he was unemployed for a while, and he milked that for all it was worth. So there's the Vandelay Industries. He is trying to convince the unemployment office that he has applied to this prestigious company called Vandelay Industries.
Another one of the, I think that is one of the funniest scenes, maybe in the series, where they call and Jerry answers and he's like trying to get out of the bathroom.
Yeah. His pants are down and he's, say Vandelay! And you want to be my latex salesman. So he makes up this company. He comes up with this whole story, how they import and export latex. He goes back to Jerry's house. Apparently he gave Jerry's phone number to the lady. Like, if you want to call, you can verify it. So he hustles back to Jerry's apartment, is trying to explain it to Jerry. If somebody calls asking for Vandelay, you have to, don't let on that this is a ruse. But he goes to the bathroom. Jerry leaves it for some reason as well. And so Kramer answers the phone when they call. So he's like, what? Vanda what? That's great. There was another scene, I don't know if you remember, where he's sitting at the unemployment officer's desk and he sees a picture and he realizes that it's probably her daughter and she's not the most attractive person.
Oh, yeah.
So he starts being like, is this your daughter? And he's like showing interest in dating her. And so they actually do, in fact, go on a date, but she dumps him because he's unemployed.
Oh.
He was a sitcom writer with Jerry, so they famously started.
That was like an episode or two, right?
Well, that was a fairly decent plot. That when they came up with their own pilot for the show about nothing, like
because that's where he met Susan, right?
Right, because she was an NBC executive. But he gets in trouble pretty quick there because he was looking at one of the NBC executives' 15-year-old daughter, staring at her, and that's when the guy says, "Get a good look, Costanza." So he's just always self-sabotaging and hindering his own success.
Yeah.
His biggest stretch, like his most long-term job, steady job that he had, was with the Yankees. So this was the majority of his, at least, his longest held job.
Do you remember how he got that job?
Yeah, he was criticizing the Yankees in front of George Steinbrenner, and he says, hire this man.
Well, and it was like, in that episode, I think it's the same episode, he says something like, everything I've ever done in my life has like led me here, where like obviously I've been doing everything wrong, so he like tries to do everything opposite.
Oh, that's the opposite episode?
So it's ironic, like, yeah, so he ends up, I can't even remember how he gets in front of Steinbrenner, but yeah, based on all of his opposite actions.
He tells them off.
Yeah, yep.
That's right. So we will talk about the opposite episode in a little bit because it's an interesting case study on him, but I didn't realize it was that episode that got him hired. So I looked it up. Like, his job position was assistant to the traveling secretary, and I was curious, what would that have paid? Potentially $40,000 to $50,000 in the 90s.
Probably 100 ish now.
Yeah, around that. So like it's a good job.
Yeah.
It's he landed a pretty good gig by doing what he did, and yet as always, he can't help himself, and he sabotages himself here. Even though he managed to string this one along for a good while, Some of the things he got away with are somewhat extraordinary when we start listing them. But yeah, there's a number of things that he does. Do you remember some of them that lead to his ultimate demise there?
Yeah, he leaves his car overnight, but then isn't it like trashed? And so he has to fake that he was like mugged or whatever.
Yeah. So he leaves the car overnight. I think he left his keys at home once, and so it was an accident at first. But then he realized, oh, if I just leave it there, they're gonna think I was the first one in and the last one to leave. So he keeps it going, and then he goes on vacation. So he just leaves his car there, and he tells Jerry, "Hey, there's people always in the parking lot putting flyers and stuff. Make sure to go remove those." Well, Jerry shows up to remove some of those flyers, and it's covered in bird poop.
That's right.
So Jerry has to break into the car and go get it washed. And so he breaks in, gets the car washed, and there's another subplot. I think it might be the episode where the girl doesn't wear a bra or something. Huh. So Jerry sees her and crashes the car. So then he drives it back and leaves it in the parking lot, totaled, covered in bird poop, and they come and see it the next day, and they realize, where's George? George must be hurt. And then they actually conclude that George actually died. So George has to come up with this elaborate ruse that he was injured severely, and he shows up to work with like neck braces and crutches or whatever. So he's got to keep the lies going for sure. What else did he do at Yankees?
He built a bed or he had somebody build a bed under his desk so that he could take a nap or whatever while he was working. And was it Steinbrenner that came in and thought it was a bomb? His alarm clock was a bomb?
Yeah, so it had its own built-in alarm clock on it. He hired a carpenter to build this desk contraption for him with a built-in alarm clock. It starts going off, the alarm, and they think it's a bomb, so they bring the bomb squad in to disarm it.
I just think Larry David's voice, what is that?
Yeah. Yeah, Larry David as George Steinbrenner is one of my favorites. He famously discovered that if he always looks annoyed, nobody will ever bother him with more work. Like he'll just look insanely busy if he's just just always seemingly frustrated. So nobody would I don't want to bother him with any more work. So it's a way for him to get out of doing work. And then he gets fired. Do you remember how he gets fired from the Yankees?
I don't remember exactly. I thought he wanted to work for the Mets, right? He wanted to switch to the Mets because of a party they were having or something. I thought that's what he did. Where then he tried to get fired. Maybe that's when he was trying to get fired. No, I guess I don't remember exactly how he got fired.
So he encounters this girl that is I forget where she was from. She wasn't from the area, and he was trying to impress her. And he wanted to go out with her. So he basically made up a story that he was also a tourist, and I forget exactly why. Or maybe she was from New York, and he pretended to be a tourist so that she would show him around. I can't remember exactly, but basically he had to tell her a lie, that he worked for this Arkansas chicken company. And the chicken company ends up getting wind of this and calls the Yankees and says, "Did you know your employee is moonlighting?" or something like that. And George's like, the Steinbrenner is, can't remember exactly what happens, but essentially they trade him. Like they trade George to go work at this chicken company so that he's done with the Yankees. Something like that. So it's all just a lie or a result of him lying to impress a girl. So basically, his career is a case study in self-sabotage. He never invests in his own long-term success, and he's basically just skating by to do the bare minimum at all times.
Yeah, I feel like every action he had to get a job, to keep a job, try to advance, it was all very short-term thinking.
Right.
What can I do to make it better right now without thinking of any long-term consequences?
Right. And obviously we talk about this a lot, that this is not the mentality we want to have. We're not in this for tomorrow or the next day. We're in this for months and years from now. So George is the perfect example of somebody that lives for today, not for tomorrow. And I mean tomorrow in the more long-term sense. But beyond his work habits, he also had some other lifestyle habits that were just really poor and not what we want to go for at all. So there was frugality, and we talk about frugality in the positive sense that you save money and you're very careful with what you spend on. He was not that. He was a cheapskate.
Selfish frugality.
A miser, and I don't think it led to massive savings or anything.
Right.
It was just probably spending on what he wants to spend on and not on anybody else. So we have a bunch of examples of the way that he did this. But like one was they were going to a dinner party and they were like,
on like Long Island, I think, somewhere fancy, right?
so we got to bring a bottle of wine. So everybody, let's chip in for a bottle of wine. He was not happy about that. And this has always been one of my favorite lines of George's, where he just goes, I don't even drink wine. I drink Pepsi. And then Elaine is like, you're not bringing a jug of Pepsi to this party. Do you remember the big salad?
Yep, the big salad. That wasn't their typical. That was the other cafe, right?
I forget which. Yeah, I forget. But
I think it was the other one. But yeah, George buys it, and his girlfriend like gives it to Elaine.
Yeah,
and George is miffed he didn't get the credit for it.
Yeah. Elaine says thank you to the girlfriend, and the girlfriend just accepts the thank you without giving George any credit, and he is not happy about that. He must be recognized if he's the one that paid for it. He went to a chiropractor once, and then when he got the bill, he was outraged at how much it was.
I was in there for 3 minutes.
Yeah. So he refuses to pay the full bill once he sees how much it is.
I actually rewatched part of that episode. The funny thing is, he's complaining that it's $75. This is the 90s. I think that was actually probably a lot back then, because I'm pretty sure that's what my chiropractor charges now.
Yeah. I think my wife pays $50 for the chiropractor. That is a lot.
Yeah.
He had a right to be angry about that.
For 3 minutes.
Yeah. The wedding envelopes. This is obviously one of the bigger plot lines because it leads to his fiance's death.
Yep. It was like rat poisoning, right?
Yeah, whatever.
In it or something, yeah.
He bought the cheapest wedding envelopes possible when he was in charge of that, and she licked all of them and got poisoned because of it.
Just fell over.
Yeah, so funny. And when they go to that's one of my favorite episodes too, and they go to the hospital, and the doctor tells him that his fiance, the woman that he was supposed to marry, has just passed away. He just goes, like, he takes the news, and then George and Elaine, I think, are there, and probably Kramer. And he goes, well, you guys want to go to the diner? And just moves on. The wheelchair is a great one. What happens
Love
there?
the wheelchair. He buys the cheapest wheelchair for the woman. Why did she need it?
Because he parked in a disabled...
Right.
The disability spot.
Yeah, yep. And that scene of her going down the hill at the end I just think about it and I laugh.
Yeah. So he parks in a handicapped parking spot, which causes an actual handicapped girl to have to travel farther, which leads her to get into an accident. Her wheelchair is wrecked. I think his dad is the one that's like, you have to replace that wheelchair, son. Like, you will do that. And so he goes to the store and he's finding out all the prices. And then I think he just sees this ratty old looking one in the corner that's used. And how much is that one? And the guy's like, I don't know.
You don't want that one.
And he's like, no, how much is it? And it's the cheapest thing. So he's like, I'll take that one. Of course, the brakes fail. She gets into another accident. That's just legendary. This is also one of my favorite ones, the tip, when he puts a tip in the jar.
And the person doesn't see it, so then he tries to take it back out. Yeah. I will admit, I try to time my tips now. Ever since that episode,
I think about it, yeah.
I think about it, and I'll wait and see if they're watching, and I'll put $1 in the tip jar. But I'm not putting it in unless they're watching.
Yeah, there's some of this that's like you can understand the mentality of it, but it's still so funny that he has the gall to go back into it to take it out so that he could do it again. But of course, as soon as he reaches in to take it out, they catch him doing it, and they think he's stealing from the tip jar, which is, I mean, he was in that sense.
I don't know if I would have ever thought about it though without seeing that episode.
I know.
Like, if I had never seen that episode, I probably would just, here's a tip. Like, I don't care.
Yeah. It's so funny. This one, I'd forgotten about this one where they actually got a stock tip from somebody and they invest in it and it's pretty volatile. And I think Jerry sells at a loss, but George, for whatever reason, just kind of gets lucky and stays in it and actually makes, I think it was like $8,000.
Not forever though. I'm pretty sure it goes up. And he's real happy about how high it goes up, but then I think the episode ends with like it going bankrupt.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought he cashed in on it, and that's why he takes everybody out to lunch. And you could be right. I needed to rewatch the episodes, but I didn't.
Yeah, I didn't but I'm pretty sure it ends up crashing.
Well, Regardless, he does go out to lunch after he's at least thought that he's hit big on this.
Yeah.
And he offers to pay for Jerry and Elaine's lunch. So when the waitress comes with the bill, he says, I don't even need to see it. And he leaves a big tip with it. And then he goes, on second thought, let me take a look at it. And he sees how much it was, and he takes some of the tip back from the waitress. So he's very cheap, very, very much a miser with the way that he lives his life. We talked about some of the schemes that he had in some of his jobs, but he has other ones too. Do you remember the Human Fund?
Yeah, it's just a fake charity that he created for donations in quotes.
Right. So instead of giving people Christmas gifts, he tells them that he's made a donation in their name to the Human Fund, this wonderful charity, which is completely made up. Mm-hmm. And when his boss donates real money to it, he's exposed and he's found out as a liar. When it comes to some of his job ambitions, he is fairly ambitious in that he wanted to be an architect. He wanted to be a marine biologist, but never actually wanted to go through with whatever it would take to actually become that.
He just wanted to be looked at as somebody smart.
Exactly. So the one episode famously pretends to be a marine biologist to impress a woman, which leads to him actually discovering a beached whale that legitimately needed a marine biologist around.
Because of the golf ball that Kramer hit.
Right. So that's the famous story that George tells at lunch, that he actually does save the day and got real lucky that time, but it was all a ruse. He was pretending to be a marine biologist and just happened to save the day. So he does get lucky every once in a while.
Fun trivia. Do you know what brand the golf ball was?
It's a Titleist.
All right.
Yeah. I love the way his voice cracks when he says that. He saves the whale, gets lucky on occasion. Oh, this one's funny. Do you remember the girl with bulimia that he dated?
Yeah, doesn't he try to catch her in the bathroom? No, he has Elaine do it, right?
He might.
I'm trying to remember how. Yeah, I remember it. I just remember them trying to catch her doing it because, he was getting frustrated at spending money on her.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not concerned about her health at all.
Right.
He does not want to buy her a meal if it's just going to get wasted.
Yep.
So it's so funny. He's so selfish. So his cheapness is just a defining character trait of him. It's not a disciplined thing that's leading him to save lots of money. He's just a really miserly person.
Because there's no, I don't think there's ever any indication that he's saved any amount of money.
No, he's just cheap and refuses to chip in when called upon or anything. He's a scheming, lying cheapskate. Mm-hmm. Is basically what he is. And so by the end of Seinfeld, he's seemingly has no assets, no savings, and he ends up in jail with the rest of the crew. So it's not exactly a glamorous outcome for our poor George. His shortcuts never lead to real success. He's got this lifelong pattern of anxiety and neuroticism and dissatisfaction with life.
Yeah. I like to imagine additional seasons, like what would have happened if he had kids?
Yeah.
How would they have ended up? How would he have treated that? Yeah, it just, I don't know.
Yeah.
Funny.
I do love George. We were talking about it. He's, my favorite character in that show when you watch it because he's so ridiculous, his behavior. He's not the most I think Kramer's so out there. He's such a bizarre character. Mm-hmm. He always gets the cheers when he walks into Jerry's apartment in the show. Jerry's also obviously an actual stand-up comedian, so he's just naturally very funny. And I think George is like the secret star of the show. Like he really is the thing that stirs that show just right. He's my favorite character.
Yeah, I think he's kind of at least of the males, he's kind of the most normal, but also the most selfish.
Yeah.
As you were saying, not everybody's a stand-up comedian or just bizarre like Kramer. So he's the one that's almost the most relatable, but then you get to know him and you're like, wait, I don't want to relate to him.
Anything to do with him. One of my other favorite lines from George is when Jerry's dating this really beautiful girl, but her friends keep making comments to him like, thank you so much for what you're doing and dating her. And he's like, what is wrong with her? Like, why do they keep saying she's really beautiful. She has a wonderful personality. Like in all accounts, she's perfect, but her friends are saying things like, hey, thank you so much for doing that. And he's trying to figure it out. And George goes up to him and he goes, every group has a loser like us with Elaine. And Just love that line. So yeah, don't be George. All right, that's all we're telling you.
Definitely don't be George.
Because there is the episode when he does the opposite. Like every one of his choices, he comes to this realization that every one of his choices to this point has led him nowhere. And so what if he just did the exact opposite of what he was thinking? And it starts actually working for him. So I think in this case, Johnny Appleseed is kind of the opposite of him in many, many ways. So I'll briefly read Proverbs 28 that it's similar to the verse we read earlier, but it says, a stingy man hastens after wealth and does not know that poverty will come after him. I don't even think George was going after wealth. Like, I don't think he even cared all that much about that. I think he was living in the moment always. He never thought about the next, what was happening long term.
Yeah. I mean, I think there was some comparison between he and Jerry. Like just realizing Jerry had the nice car. So I think there was, at least he would think about it, but not really. That wasn't, I think his goal was just enjoyment.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. He's the perfect example of somebody who's trying to shortcut his way through life and avoiding the diligence needed to actually plant the long-term seeds. As we will see with his counterpart, Johnny Appleseed.
Why'd you come up with Johnny Appleseed?
Because I was trying to think through, there's two reasons. One, he's been in my mind a lot because my son has been really obsessed with this old Disney cartoon called American Legends, and one of the stories they tell is Johnny Appleseed's story. So I've
never heard of American Legends from Disney.
I think it's from like the 1940s. It's very old. So he's been watching that.
Color or black and white?
It's color. It's a cartoon. Okay. So that's been on my TV a lot in the background. I'll just hear the song that he sings in it, which is actually a really nice song. I like it a lot because it talks about the Lord and how the Lord's been good to him. So he's just been, I've seen that enough times now over the past few weeks because of my son. But then I was actually thinking about it and I was like, okay, we've got this one guy who's living very hastily, a schemer, dishonest, just living for today. And then you've got Johnny Appleseed, and we'll tell a little bit of his story now, but he's quite literally planting for the future. He's planting apple orchards all over parts of America during kind of the great frontier days when America was expanding. And he had this vision of planting apple trees so that it wasn't for his own enjoyment, because I don't know if you know this, but planting a tree takes a long time. So he was...
I have no idea if you know this answer. I don't. From planting the seed to fruit, do you know how long that takes?
300 years.
Really?
No.
Yeah, that's way too long.
It's got to be a decade.
20? Yeah, I don't know.
mean, at least. I don't know.
Yeah.
We should look that up. Yeah, so Johnny Appleseed planted apple orchards all across Pennsylvania, Ohio, West Virginia, Indiana, and Illinois. Nobody knows for sure exactly how many he planted, but it was probably tens of thousands of apple trees. He was a very simple man. He wore weird clothes, like he wore just ragged old hand-me-downs that he would, trade with people to get. And he famously wore a tin pot as a hat because it would double as like an actual pot for making stuff in. So he would just wear that on his head. He didn't wear shoes. He traveled barefoot, and he's walking across, this is not modern day America that has infrastructure and sidewalks. Like, it's just the great frontier as we're expanding as a nation, and he's going out there and planting seeds barefoot.
I wonder how acceptable no shoes was back then versus as a societal norm versus now.
Yeah. We famously say that no shoes, no shirt, no service.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was a simple guy, but he was also a really successful businessman. By the time he passed away, he had about 1,200 acres of land through different deals that he was doing across 3 states. So, if you think about it in today's terms, it's pretty easy to travel around both with airplanes and cars and stuff. That was not the case back then. To own land in 3 states and be planting seeds in, I think it was 5 states that he planted across. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible amount of diligence and work and just faithful day by day productivity.
Real quick, I just said societal norm, and we completely skipped over. We live in a society. Oh. I just had to throw that one out there.
Yes. We could just sit and quote Seinfeld all day, but we won't. Okay, so he also...
do you know how Johnny Appleseed got all of his wealth to just do that?
I think it was all just trading, and obviously it was a very different time. I think he was just very successful at making trades and figuring out different land deals. I don't know specifically, but I think he started in like the Pittsburgh area. I think is where he's from originally, and then started his journeys across the great frontier.
Trades like that game where you take a paper clip and see.
Something like that.
The famous youth group game.
We should do an episode on that. Have you ever done that before in a youth group or anything?
I was a youth leader at one point and had the kids try to do it. I think that they weren't too successful. They got like a pencil, I think. Yeah,
we did it as a young adult crew at one of my old churches, maybe 10 years ago. And I'm trying to remember what we ended up with. I think we ended up with like a brand new toilet seat. Like it was unopened and, just convincing people to trade whatever. It was more charity at that point. I mean, I don't think anybody legitimately wanted what we were offering to them, but they knew the point of the game. So they're like, man, we don't really need this thing, so you can have this. Okay. Johnny Appleseed was interesting. He wasn't what we would call a Christian, but he did have some kind of Christian adjacent faith. It was not the most doctrinally sound, but he had some love in his heart for the Lord. Whether or not it was the real Lord, I don't know. But that is part of the Disney short that I really like. So I was mentioning the song. The song goes, the Lord has been good to me, and so I thank the Lord for giving me my apple trees and the sunlight and something, I forget exactly what it is, but it's a nice song. And he's just thankful for what he's been given and what he has the capacity to do in his life by planting apple trees.
Yeah, and certainly living, again, comparing to George, certainly living for more than just himself, for a higher purpose.
And taking great pleasure in that. And I think that's one of the things that is an underrated skill to develop in the modern world is taking deep pleasure in the simple things in life. There's this guy that I recently came across on Instagram, and the way he talks is so funny. He kind of talks like you're like run-of-the-mill like college bro, but he says things that he's just like, he'll be like, dude, having coffee on the front porch, man, it just rips. Or he's like, a gloomy day, it's like, there is nothing like it. It's like the world is telling me to just take it easy today. Like, and he's just, I love his content because he's finding just like an absolute pleasure in some of the simplest things that you can experience in life. And I think Johnny Appleseed is probably a good example of that. He loved his life and loved what he did. So these apples weren't exactly to eat. Apparently they were very bitter. And the reason was because his faith dictated this. Apparently they were very they were vegetarians basically. Like they didn't want to hurt animals. They also didn't want to hurt plants. And so he refused to plant apple trees via grafting, which was apparently I guess I don't know anything about this, so people that know about this are probably going to say that I'm getting it wrong, but something to the effect of by grafting apple trees or planting trees via grafting, you can get sweeter apples that are much more delicious to eat, whereas just planting raw seeds, maybe not so much. And so he refused to do the grafting method because it was apparently harmful to the trees, or they thought it hurt the trees. And
if Dalton got that at all wrong, please use our email and just blast them.
Please. So the apples were a little bit more bitter, but it still served a great purpose because, again, during this time, there wasn't always high quality fresh water available. A lot of the water that you might encounter was maybe pretty dangerous and full of bacteria, and so these apples were perfect for making hard cider, and that was more safe and stable when water was a little bit more scarce.
Kind of like the American version of Guinness.
Yeah.
Because that's why that came to be.
Exactly. Yeah, was that during like the Black Plague?
I should know this. I've been there, but I don't think it was that old. Guinness was like late 1600s, I think.
Okay. I feel like our whole episode today is one of us asking the other, "Oh, was that?" And then the other person be like,
"Why'd you ask me that?"
Yeah. We're not experts here. Why are you listening to us?
We know a lot about nothing.
Yeah. This is a show about nothing. So Johnny Appleseed plants all these orchards potentially tens of thousands of trees, and they obviously outlived him because he was a mortal man that ended up passing away at some point. But he became kind of a folk hero. I'm sure anybody that's listening has at least heard of Johnny Appleseed, at least heard the name. You might not have remembered from school what he did or anything. I'm not exactly even sure why he's become so famous. Like, it's such an interesting thing to be famous for, just planting a lot of apple trees. But I actually love that he is, because I think it's a cool example of you don't have to build these enormous, business empires to be well known and to do good work. Like, you can do the simple things of planting trees. And it's like, I'm so glad that he's been recognized as an American legend for that. I think that's really cool.
Yeah. I was just going back and looking at, we have 1774 to 1845. That's 71 year, right? 71 years. That's a long time back then.
Yeah. And living a fairly difficult life, he probably slept outside most of the time. He just traveling, planting trees. Couldn't have been easy, or I'm about to say not healthy. He probably was extremely healthy because he walked everywhere and was probably really strong and had all these physical benefits. But it's still
plenty of vitamin D.
Being exposed to the elements can take a toll too.
We can go down the whole health rabbit trail.
Yeah, we could. We'll do that next time. So we see some parallels here, obviously, and the reason we're talking about this is not to encourage you to go travel and plant trees, but there's an obvious connection between planting trees and the planting seeds in your life, both spiritually but also financially, that you make an investment and it starts off small, but it starts to grow over time and can continue to grow. So
I'm going to ask you another question you may or may not know the answer to.
Okay.
Did Johnny Appleseed have kids?
No, I don't think he wasn't married.
Okay.
Yeah. So wouldn't encourage you to not have kids. You should have kids. It's good.
Yeah.
Kids are great.
Coming in pretty confident on that answer, so I'm gonna count on it.
You can look it up. Planting trees and planting investments, the results don't happen tomorrow. It's years from now that you start to see some of the real results from the work that you put in.
And the one time that George hit it big on the investment, at least for a short period of time, he was looking for that get-rich-quick scheme by, I want a stock tip that's going to, we preach patient investing. We're not looking for 100% returns overnight.
Yeah. Oh, I've got the lyrics of that song here. So this was in the Disney short. Here's the song that goes, "The Lord is good to me, and so I thank the Lord for giving me the things I need, the sun and the rain and an apple seed. Yes, he's been good to me." I think that's a great example of gratitude. He's not thanking the Lord for abundant wealth or for great job or anything, which you should be thankful for if that's your case, but he's thanking him for the things that he needs in his day, and that's sun and rain and an apple seed. And I think we could all practice a little bit of gratitude in our lives by waking up and thanking him for our wife and kids or the job that we get to go to. I think a lot of us take it for granted. So, we could practice some gratitude too, like Johnny Appleseed would have.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so we have two paths before us: George Costanza, Johnny Appleseed. Short-sighted, selfish, and then more long-term and faithful.
Yeah, so which one are you going to go for?
I'm going with George. Can save money by being cheap. No. Johnny Appleseed.
I'm not inviting you to any parties.
I wouldn't either.
If you're not going to bring me a bottle of wine.
I'm going to double dip the chip. Or get so distracted by the Magic Eye book that I come out of the bathroom shirtless.
Or find a old rival because they stained your sweater.
Yeah, or I'll be throwing some trash out and I see a half-eaten chocolate eclair just sitting on the top of the trash pile in the trash can, and I go, "This is a perfectly good chocolate eclair."
Yeah.
There's lots of things that I could do if I took the path of George. None of them are good, but I could do them.
So instead, you're going to walk around Westchester and plant trees.
Yeah. It's not a bad idea. So yeah, some of the practical parallels with like money. So if you think about the ways that George would live, if we were to draw up his financial plan, actually, he'd probably be in a lot of debt if I had to guess. Not only is he really cheap, but the reason he's cheap is probably because he he probably doesn't make much money because he's not that ambitious and he's
unemployed for a stretch.
Unemployed. He can't hold a job. But he also probably accumulates debt that way. If I had to guess, I don't know for sure. I don't know even if there's episodes that would address that in any way, but I bet he has some debt from things that he just buys and wants, and it leaves him with some crippling financial issues. He's probably spending his money instead of investing it, even though it looks like he's saving money by being really, really frugal. I think that's more of just the result of his overall lifestyle.
Yeah. Spending on wants.
Yeah. So there's the frugality, but it's selfishness, not stewardship. And he probably has a lot of burned relationships, people that he managed to maintain the core. He managed to maintain Jerry and Elaine and Kramer for the most part. He would tick them off from time to time, but probably not much else.
Lots of women that he burned.
Lots of women.
Yeah, there are lots of examples of burned relationships in that show.
Yeah. So if I was putting together his financial plan, the recommendation would probably end up being you're going to have to work for a lot longer than you think. You really need to crack down on your spending and start saving more. And then and only then will you have a successful plan. And it's going to require you to make a lot of changes in your life. He wouldn't naturally be set up to be successful, I wouldn't think, with his habits.
That reminded me of one more thing. I've got the question, but I'm ashamed to say I'm blanking on the answer. I think it was George's girlfriend when he called her and left her a message on her phone, and he had Jerry then try to get to the message machine, the voicemail, and take the tape. Do you remember this episode at all?
Vaguely.
And they come up with a code word for if she's coming. And I think at first it was going to be like twinkle toe, but then they came up with like lime grass. I'm kicking myself for not remembering what their code word was.
Yeah, it's not ringing a bell. Why does he need it to be deleted? Did he say something?
Because he yelled at her, yeah. Okay. I can't remember what he said, but he left her a bad voicemail.
Oh, okay.
And they end up getting it, but she says that she listened to it and she thought it was hilarious.
Oh, that's good. Worked out for him then. So short-term living is George. Long-term living is Johnny. He's investing for the future. He's actually planting the seeds.
And not just his future.
Exactly. Yeah. And almost exclusively not his future. I'd be curious to know how much he benefited from the trees he planted in an actual real sense of it. Like, how was he able to enjoy a glass of cider from a tree that he planted? I don't know.
Probably not much if he's planting and moving around.
Right. Yeah. I think there's a lot of mystery behind him too, which is part of the reason he's probably such a legend. Like, it's just so unique that he did this at a time when, I don't know. It's everything about him is unique and fascinating. But yeah, I'd be curious to know how much was he able to enjoy himself. It might not have been much, if at all. Yeah. And it was almost exclusively for other people, which is incredible that he was that generous to do that. He probably would have paid off debt if he had any as quickly as he could. He would have been, again, obviously really generous if he was planting for other people. He built businesses. He had all that land that he had acquired. He would have left a pretty good legacy financially if that was what he focused on. And he obviously did leave a really good legacy. It was just not necessarily a financial one. It was more of a, I don't know, what do you call it?
Or Disney's making songs about him.
Disney's making songs about him.
That he sang.
Yeah. So those are our two characters. George Costanza, Johnny Appleseed. Two very different people. Obviously, one of them is a made-up character from a TV show, though it was based on Larry David. And the other one is a real-life figure. That's what we decided to do today. It was a different episode.
Yeah, it was a different episode, but overall, be intentional. Build things that last.
Yeah.
Be patient. As fun as it is to watch George, don't do that.
Yeah. Yeah, you can watch an episode of Seinfeld here and there. We don't encourage you to go binge watch it every day over the course of a summer like we did, but you can watch an episode and enjoy it, laugh at it, but don't emulate it.
Yeah.
They're not good people to emulate.
Summers aren't that short.
Yeah.
I'm sure people binge it in like a week now.
Maybe.
They're short, they're like 23-minute episodes.
I can't even fathom doing that now. Like, having the time to sit down and do what I did back then. It's actually funny to think about, but it's what happened.
That's why I don't sleep much.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for me, it was just the reality of being a single 19-year-old with nothing else to do. So that is life.
Johnny Appleseed would have been planting the tree.
I know. I know. I think back, if I could talk to my 19-year-old self, I would say, stop watching Seinfeld. Go do something. Go plant a tree.
Yeah. You 19-year-olds, turn it around.
Yeah. Goodness gracious. Well, that's all we have for today.
Yeah.
It was fun.
A lot of fun.
I would do it again.
Now I do want to binge watch.
Now I do too.
I feel like I also have to go find this Johnny Appleseed short, though.
Yeah, it's good. It is. Yeah, it's good. Your kids will like it.
Okay.
Thank you for listening. Like, comment, and subscribe. Send us an email.
Blast Dalton in the emails.
Yes. Let me know what I got wrong about apple tree planting.
If you have anything bad to say about me, keep it to yourself.
Plan to prosper at stonecropadvisors.com. You can also get in touch with us to talk about financial planning if you want to. We would love that. I think that's everything I have.
Sounds good.
We'll see you next week. God bless.
God bless.
Investment advisory services offered through Stonecrop Wealth Advisors, LLC, a registered investment advisor with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. This material is intended for informational purposes only.